causing mass discussion. Can't you see them dad boys are casting? Testing competition on their podcast mission. Never know what you get. It's chaotic precision. If you don't know, you better find out the dad pack. I'm here to prove a point. We three kings just believe that you don't want to tussle with them. This show is thunder. Subscribe and tune in, and you're laughing to the very end. Don't turn your back on the dad pack. Don't turn your back on the dad pack.
Put the kids to bed. Dad's home. We are the DWO podcast, representing the dad world order. I am the pretty face papaw, Mr. Magnificent Mike Martin. With me, as always, the rest of this patriarch pack. We've got the big bad bearded daddy. He is Big Rig Eric Maffey.
I'll give you hear me, baby.
Oh yeah, 10-4. And he is the perpetual mid-carter and the two-time world record holder. He is the wrestling t-shirt guy, Bo Cephas.
Day 1266, boys and girls. Bro who runs the show. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. Great, man. Doing great.
Doing well.
Well, as Mr. Magnificent said, we are the DWO podcast. And tonight we have with us a very special guest, the one and only PJ Starks. Sir, how the heck are you?
I'm doing really well after that intro and then your individual intros. I'm like, the fuck have I gotten myself into?
We've got this pretty much down pat at this point. It took us a little bit, but
I'm like the least coolest person on this podcast now.
Nah. Well, that's what we're here to find out. It's just how cool you are, man. That's why we got you on here.
Not very. You found a really solid filler guest. I'll tell you that.
I don't know, man. We're trying to expand. So horror is horror movies and just anything. We started off as a wrestling podcast, and now we're just a show that is still obsessed with wrestling that wants to do way more than that. So
right. Well, it doesn't show.
We do our best.
So are all of you guys into horror or?
Oh yeah.
So I, for the most part, was not growing up, but I didn't really have anybody that like introduced me to it. This guy, yeah. Cephas is all about it. He's got
Frankenstein and fucking Jack and everything. My
That's
daughter,
awesome.
We'll get into this more a bit later, but my daughter and I are going to be making our own horror movie eventually. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't been super into it in the past. But my girlfriend, who I've been dating for about a year and a half now, is pretty horror obsessed. So I don't really have a choice anymore. But it's good. She shows me a lot of good ones, man. Like, I'll tell you, one of my favorite ones that I've seen probably ever is Barbarian.
That was a great movie.
Dude, she showed me that movie, and I was just like, okay, this is the kind of horror I wanted. Like, it wasn't your run-of-the-mill, it was awesome.
I was gonna say I didn't watch it because it came out in 22, I think.
Like that, yeah.
And then so I didn't watch it until last year. Now I knew Justin Long was in it, and I'm a Justin Long fan. And I'd heard that it had like all these twists and turns and things, and it was really, really good. But I just never watched it, and finally I did. But I watched it real late at night, and my wife, it's a long story. We're high school sweethearts. We both ended up marrying two different people. Both got divorces over the same exact thing, not because of us, but and then we ended up like saying, "Hey, let's give it another go." And then September of last year, we got married.
Wow,
now,
awesome.
She doesn't hate horror, but it's not her go-to.
That's how I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I had to sit and watch all of the seasons of Virgin River. But anyway.
We all make our sacrifices.
But I've paid my dues at this point, and which I'll say this: the show is not as bad as you would think. Probably the gayest thing I'll say in this entire podcast. But
Now we're just getting started, bud.
Okay, very true. I can't wait to see how gay this gets. I'm excited now.
Yeah.
So I watched the movie like super late at night, and the scene. I don't want to give too much away, but like when they finally find that plate, have you guys all seen it?
Yeah. Have you seen it, Mike?
Not the entire thing, no.
Oh,
Okay, so they find a certain place, and then a new character gets introduced. You know who I'm talking about?
yeah.
But it happens in a very terrifying and out of nowhere way. That is the moment that she woke up. It was like 2:00 in the morning.
Oh God.
So she woke up right as that person came onto the screen,
Oh
and
no.
she about shit the bed. But then it was like she was hooked, and she was like, "What are you watching?" And I told her, and then she's like, "I gotta keep watching it now." So then she watched from that point on. And she finished out the movie like in the middle of the night with me. It was really funny, but yeah, it was such a good movie. But that's the funny thing. Like, so Leslie, that's my wife. She like she hasn't seen a lot of stuff, so now I'm getting to like vicariously live through her. Like she'd never seen the 28 Days movies, and with the new one coming out this weekend, we binge. Well, I say binge like it's a long trek, but we watched the first and the second one last night. That way we could go see the new one when it comes out this weekend. And she gets scared real easy. So it was I love watching scary movies. It is the greatest thing ever because it takes a lot to scare me. I pretty much like never get scared. So I'm living through her as we're watching these movies. And I watched Mama with her one night, and she was fucking jumping out of her skin every like 20 seconds to the point where she was jumping so much she was getting legitimately pissed off. And
God damn it.
she started hitting me every time, like really hard every time she got scared. And but it was worth it. It was well worth the bruises.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
It's like a roller coaster ride, I remember the kids when they were younger, big enough to get on roller coasters, and like, you go finally get on it, and they change their mind at the last second, like, oh hell no, we didn't wait 90 minutes to get on this thing. You're getting on, shove them on.
right.
They're crying, kicking, and screaming. They ride it. They're mad and screaming and everything. By the time they get off, they're like, "Oh my god, I love that! Thank you so much."
That was literally us at Kings Island a couple weeks ago. I got Emmy to ride 2 new rides for the first time. And she's like, "Are there hills? Are there hills?" And I'm like, "No, there's not. Of course, there's fucking hills." And we start going up this thing, and she's just, mean mugging me. And we get to the tie. It was the Racer and Mystic Timbers.
Oh yeah, those are two good ones.
We start as soon as we start going down the hill. She's screaming at the top of her lungs, "I'm gonna kill you!" Just over and over. And yeah. So, but at the end, she was like, "That was awesome," So
I got a question for you, since the roles are kind of reversed. So, like with me, and this was something I warned Leslie about. I said, "Look, I pretty much watch the same set of movies like every night when I go to bed. I call them my comfort food movies. So it's and I literally she was like, "Oh, it's no problem." She really didn't realize it was like that until we were 100% like living together. So every night, and she makes fun of me all the time because she's like, "Oh God, are we gonna watch Chud again?" And I'm like, "No, tonight it's Shockwaves." And she was like, "You watched that last night?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, but I want to watch it again tonight." So I'll like fall asleep to the same movies, and it's always like The Gates of Hell or House by the Cemetery. I'm a Fulci fan, so I watch a lot of those Italian horror movies, or like Hell Night or The Prowler or Madman. Like I'm also like slasher films are my all-time favorite subgenre.
You're a real
so like I watch
your name is
yeah. To me those are the good ones. And now there are limits. Like occasionally, oh God, I was at the last time I was at Horror Hound. Terror Vision had a booth, and so I was looking at their movies, and there were ones that like I recognized from when I was younger that I would have seen at the video store, but I never rented. And I bought the Nail Gun Massacre and it was a Halloween one, Hallow Gates. And I know they're both shot on video movies, and shot on video movies are very much they could be an acquired taste. They're, to me, they're a lot like found footage movies. Found footage is an acquired taste. I love found footage movies. And I do like some shot on video movies, but there's like, The Video Dead, I really like, and it was a shot on video movie. But I sat down and tried to watch Hallow Gates, and I made it maybe 15 minutes into the movie, and it's so fucking bad that I couldn't keep watching it. And then I popped in the Nail Gun Massacre, fully expecting it to be the same situation. But the Nail Gun Massacre is far better than it has any right to be. So I was able to stick around for the whole thing because they do. Have you guys seen the Nail Gun Massacre?
No, but it sounds
okay.
incredible.
It's by no means is it a good film, but it's one of those ones where the acting is so bad, but it's entertaining bad. And then the plot, right? And the plot's like completely ridiculous, but the killer is kind of cool. What they do with the killer. So that really kept me vested in the movie, and I finished it out. And it's not one that I'll like watch regularly on a rotation, but it's one that I might pop in once a year because it was fun enough to where I didn't get rid of it.
So
like Hallow Gates.
Along those lines, do you have a favorite shitty movie? For me, if I think about that, it's always Hell Comes to Frogtown. I love it. If you've seen, I'm sure you've seen it. It's about lizard aliens coming to the world to impregnate our women, and Rowdy Piper stops it. And it's so fucking bad. It's so terrible. And every time I watch it, I know it's at best D+, but it's one of my favorites. Is there something like that sticks out to you?
Now that's a full moon feature, right?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm terrible at those types of knowing. Yeah.
So see, that's the thing. Like, there are certain movies that I know are bad, but I love them. So to me, they are good. So it almost takes like I'll sit down and watch. Have you seen the movie Seed People?
No, but that sounds fucking hilarious, dude. Seed People. Oh, I'm fucking sold.
Okay.
Yes.
Now this is a full moon feature. Now it's classic full moon feature like Demonic Toys or
it reminds me of the cover of Critters.
Yeah. So the special effects in it are really bad and the acting is not fantastic, but it's one of those movies where it's not a bad movie. Like, it's a bad movie, but it's not a bad movie. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but like Leslie watched it with me and she was like, "What in the fuck are you making me watch?" And then, but me, I'm like, "It's really good. You just got to keep watching it." She's like, "Sure. Yeah. Okay." And, Bad Channels is another one. I don't know if you've seen Bad Channels.
No, you're like us with old Dusty Rhodes matches and shit. Like,
also, I just have to say, I love that you have physical media of all of these things.
Well, this is just like a fraction. There's actually a shelf that goes way up to the ceiling that you can't see, and then in my living room, I've got 2 big shelves, and then the rest of them are actually in totes and boxes. I don't even have all my movies out. When I moved out of my house into Leslie's house after we got married, all my movies were boxed up, and it got to a point where she got tired of me having to go pull totes out and then go through the totes trying to find something I wanted to watch. But then she also just felt bad for me because she knows how much I love to like just randomly grab something that I haven't watched in a while. So I came home one day and she had surprised me by buying me these big shelves, and we put them in the living room. And I was able to pull like a big chunk of my movies out and put them up on the shelves. And then she went out and bought, and she was like at Ross or Gabe's or something, and found another shelf that I could put on top of these, so that I could put even more movies
Yes.
in here. I have a horrible movie addiction. So much so that I had 4 new ones delivered yesterday. And she's like, that's like 12 movies you've ordered in the last 16 days. Like, how many movies do you need? And I'm like,
sounds
all
so
of them.
familiar.
I need
You know,
all of
I
them.
Yeah.
kind of sad
Yeah.
that I've always, collected movies and stuff like that. And I still buy movies to this day, but a lot of it is like, digital form, which for me is kind of a better thing because it keeps me from buying so many movies because I am 100% a completionist. And if I buy something, then I got to have the set or like, I got to make a collection out of everything. So it becomes almost a game.
Yeah.
That's why I have a huge wall of whiskey in my basement.
There you go.
That's why I have almost 1,000 pro wrestling shirts. So yeah, I get it. But
Yeah. We all have our vices, and, but it's like, I told her yesterday after it, cause I pulled them. She was like, what did you buy? Like, what was it that you had to have? And I make her sound like she's mean, but she's actually like the most amazing person in the world.
And why do we always do that when we describe? When we talk like our old ladies, it's always something.
Yeah, it's like when I do my impersonation, I'm like, but she's really like insanely incredible. Like I really have zero complaints. I have no complaints about her. But I pulled it out and I was like, The Hitcher, the 4K release, and Hell of the Living Dead, which is terrible, but I like it. and then there were 2 movies that I've never seen. One's called Absurd, and then the other one is called Bloody Moon. And Bloody Moon is a slasher film I've never seen. And I buy anytime someone's like, "Hey, this is a slasher," I'll buy it just because I love slasher movies. And I've bought so many that I feel like I'm starting to get to that point where I'm running out of slasher movies I've never seen. And because like you said, oh, you're really into some of like the more obscure ones, but like even though like The Prowler, Madman, even My Bloody Valentine was hard to find at one time, and then finally it came out to where it had like both versions of the movie, one with all the original gore put back into it and stuff. And like those were ones I'd never seen before. I remember seeing at the video store, but I'd never watched them. Or I had seen them, but I wanted them on Blu-ray because I have like a crappy DVD version I'm trying to replace it with. But either way, like when I stumbled upon Madman or when I stumbled upon The Prowler, I mean, those are ones that you really don't hear anybody talk about much, but they're fucking top tier in terms of execution, special effects. The acting is good, the music is good, but you never hear anybody ever talk about these movies. But I am kind of getting to that point where, like the other day, I watched a movie called Don't Go in the Woods, which is a trauma movie.
Oh,
and
trauma movies.
Yeah, and I love trauma. That's like I love classic trauma, and it's a classic trauma because like they have a movie called Blood Hook.
I have a question. What is trauma?
Thank you.
Are you,
That's what.
are you,
That's what.
wait, are you being serious?
I did you not hear me? I'm not a horror fan. I have no idea what that means. Not a clue.
Okay, okay. So I'm sure you're familiar with Toxic Avenger.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's trauma. So trauma didn't always because they had like. I mean, Toxic Avenger is not really a horror film, but I guess it's kind of sort of. I guess, but they had like Surf Nazis Must Die, Monster in the Closet,
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
No, that was who did put that out? That was a different company, but it wasn't a trauma movie. I couldn't tell you who the company was that put that out, but I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Eric, the guy, Stan Trauma King trailer in our comments all the time.
Yeah,
he's in one of their newer movies called Kill Dolly Kill.
That's cool.
Yeah, him and his wife we're pretty close friends with those guys. We go to Horror Hound with them and stuff every year and do a lot of different stuff. But they're in Kill Dolly Kill. And,
okay, I'm familiar with that movie, but I haven't seen. I actually. I'm an executive producer on a trauma movie that's on a tour. It's on a tour right now. It's called Sweet Meats. It's a horror comedy musical, and it was filmed here in Kentucky by a filmmaker named Ricky Glore, and oh man, I'm brain farting, but he shot it at a bar that recently got torn down, but it's famous for being haunted, and there's a hole to hell in the basement, or there was, and it's been on a bunch of national paranormal shows.
It's
But
fucking what's it called? Down there on in Newport.
Yes.
Ah, shit, man. It's on the tip of my tongue. They got the mechanical bull in there.
Yeah, it's all gone now because they tore the place down.
Yeah.
But it was the last thing that. Well, I was about to say the last thing filmed there, as if it was
Bobby Mackey's. Thank you.
Bobby Mackey's. Yes. So when they were filming, I went there and hung out on set, and it's a very interesting place. There were some. It was weird the way the setup was, and everything that was about the basement. The whole thing was sketchy. Like it felt like a human trafficking kind of a situation. But you would go in the back past all these boilers, and this is in the basement. But the basement was like half barn and then kind of half concrete under the ground. But you would go through this passage past these boilers, and there was this tunnel that you would kind of go into, and it dead ended. But to the left was these slats, like old wood, and you could look between them, and it was like there were rooms on the other side, but there was no way to get into them. I don't know. It was really bizarre the way it was set up. There were stairs that went up to the ceiling at one spot. Like these old rickety stairs. I don't know. It was really bizarre. But the funny thing is they had I think it was called the Well to Hell.
Yeah.
And it was
supposed to be a gateway to hell. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was basically just a hole in the ground. It didn't go anywhere. So I don't even know how that got famous, but like other parts of the building that were legitimately scary.
They've done like ghost hunter episodes there. Like they used to be on like Discovery Channel and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think
I used to go to that bar, and people would legitimately, like in the middle of like peak bar time, like 9-10 p.m., people would go on ghost tours at the bar.
That's cool.
Yeah, my wife did, and my sister-in-law and one of their friends, and somehow they all got separated, and then my wife and them went back inside to try to find my sister-in-law. They got lost in the haunted basement, and I was like, "That's awful." And this is why we don't go in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a spooky building downstairs, but upstairs it seemed pretty normal. You've been there, so.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. Every time I've been there, it's like nothing good ever happened when I was there. So it's like it became one of the places like there's just bad juju here altogether. Like I'm just gonna,
right.
I
didn't have anything like paranormal happen though.
Yeah.
And I'm 100%. I won't even say I believe in ghosts, and I know some people like hate hard. Like I know it's real, people, but I know ghosts are real. I've experienced it far too. I'm either schizophrenic, but somehow still have pretty good control of my facilities. Although I did just piss myself a minute ago, and
just a little bit.
Or it's real. And to me, it's got to be real. But nothing happened while I was there. It was kind of the same. And once again, not to brag about how awesome my wife is, but for my birthday in March, she surprised me with an overnight stay at Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville. And she never wanted to go there because, like I said earlier, like she doesn't like scary things, but she went with me. So it was me and her. And have you guys ever been to Waverly Hills?
No, my cousin did the overnight thing, and
yeah, it's
on my bucket list.
Yeah, definitely do it. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the history of that place is incredible. And the building is, this is what surprised me the most. So we get there, and when we walk in, I'm thinking it's a small group, but I walk in and there's like 50 other people in this room. So immediately my excitement goes from here to like here, because I'm thinking how is this going to be cool? There's so many people here. We're going to be tripping over each other. So before they let you walk around the building, they take you on a tour. They start at the top and then you go all the way back down to the bottom. It takes almost an hour just to do the tour because that's how big the building is. And they don't even show you all the spots. They just kind of take you to the main rooms where they're like, if you're here doing a paranormal investigation, this is the room you want to focus on. Like, this is where you want to come to. So then when you finally get back down to the basement and then they say, okay, go, you have full run of the entire building, all 5 floors, almost every room is open. The only places you can't go are maybe a handful of rooms that are locked. And I'm assuming it's like storage or something.
Right.
But it's
wow.
Even though there was 50 other people there with us, at one point we walked around for almost an hour before we even saw anybody else. And we forgot flashlights.
Oh,
so we were walking around in the middle of the night in like pitch darkness. And of course there's ambient light coming in, but the building is incredible. And I mean,
you didn't bring night vision goggles, dude. Shame on you.
I should have. And the funny thing is you would run into people that are like doing EVP sessions, or they've got a spirit box and it's got the static going and all that. And
I'm 100% before I going on eBay and getting the old 1990s or 80s toy of the Ghostbusters, the little thing Egon had there, and just bring that with me and just walk around like, ooh.
Just pretend like you know what you're doing.
These readings are off the charts.
Yeah, if you get to go, definitely do it because it was awesome. It was really cool.
Let's talk. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say we've had quite a few comments since we started talking.
Oh, let's hit them real quick.
A shout out to our what's going on, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Brian.
What's up, Brian?
The man, the myth, the legend, Cephas's arch rival, Mr. Justin Deming is here.
What's up, brother?
Let's see what else we got. Oh, back when we were talking about movies, Justin also commenting on YouTube. Physical media forever. Heck yeah.
Yep.
Our dude Brad, what's going on, man? But let's see. Brian was asking, how many DVDs do you have in your collection? He used to have over 700.
Damn.
I have in total I have somewhere between probably 2,500 and 3,000 movies. Which is stupid. I completely get that. Like objectively I can stand back, and sometimes even I get overwhelmed because because my bed's right here because I'm in the bedroom. But I'll look at these movies and I'll go, there is no way that I could watch all of these. Even if I watch one a year, there's no way I could watch all the movies that are here. Because like some of them are box sets and some of them are like there's Batman, the animated series and stuff like that. So it's like, there's no way. So then I start thinking, and this is how bad my movie addiction is. Sometimes I get legitimately sad when I think about one day I'll be dead and movies that I love to watch, I won't be able to watch anymore.
As far as it might be TiVo.
Fair. But the thought of that makes me sad.
Bro, I feel the same way. I've got so I talked about 1,266 days at the start of this. I got the world record for going the most consecutive days wearing a wrestling shirt, right? And I have the same problem in my head because I know that when I die, my kids are gonna be like, what the fuck are we gonna do with 1,000 wrestling shirts? What are they?
Yeah.
Just gonna sell all of these, keep the random few that they want, and then sell them to somebody who will not care about them as much as I will. Mm-hmm. I had to turn my entire garage into a fucking closet because I have to alphabetize my hundreds of wrestling shirts. Otherwise, how am I going to find an Abdullah the Butcher? I can't just scroll through shirts. I have to look, in an order.
When she bought me the shelves and I put all the movies on the shelves out in the living room, I took pictures of them to brag about how cool Leslie is. And immediately the way I put all the movies was, it's like at the top it's all 80s movies that I watch a lot, and then immediately after that it's the rest of the slasher films. The slasher films I watch basically like every night are in here, but then in there it's like the rest of the slasher films. So it's like I did it by subgenre. So all the monster movies are together, found footage, vampires, werewolves and ghosts, haunted houses and ghosts and all that. So, but anyway, somebody looked at the photos. I guess they zoomed in on the movies, and they messaged me and they told me how much those pictures gave them anxiety because my movies were not alphabetized.
Yeah.
They're like, how do you know where anything is?
Please tell me you got a spreadsheet or something. Some way to keep inventory. Just chaos.
No.
Madman.
Pretty much, yeah. Look, I used to have
saying I have anxiety.
I only had like 500 and I had a spreadsheet. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I used to my ex-wife one night had, I don't know, like she had one of her tisms, and she finally was like, you have so many, because at the time it was mostly all like DVD, and she was like, we gotta inventory all your movies. So at that time I had maybe like 1,000. This is years ago. And she worked at a bank, so she had one of those things you connect to the USB to the computer where it's got the keypad. Mm-hmm. So she sat there, and I would hand her a movie, and she'd look at the barcode and go next, next. So she actually helped me inventory the movies, but eventually I don't know what happened to that laptop or the program. So that's all gone. And I mean, now I've got, almost like 3,000 or whatever.
Organization associated with the old ladies. So now we just go with chaos.
Yeah.
I love this.
The new
regime. Great idea. Find an old lady that can quilt and make blankets out of your shirts. Steve.
Well, see,
there you go.
I always thought that if I could do some kind of like auction them off to my fans. If you were a fan of wrestling t-shirt guy, what was your favorite one? You know what I mean? First, you speak up, you can have it. You know what I mean? First one, I don't know. I've got so many different things. I just want him to go to a decent home. My son is half determined to become wrestling t-shirt guy after me. He was like, if I take over, can your streak just go to me? I was like, no, son, that's not how it works. You're going to have to start from the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that is a collector thing, because I've had the same conversation about my movies, because so my oldest has moved out. He's going to be 21 next month, and then my youngest just turned 14, and he's more the one that's interested in movies, and he likes horror, but he doesn't like all horror. You know what I mean? So there's certain horror films where he's like, like the Saw movies. He's like, when you die, can I have your Saw collection? And I'm like, yeah, but what are you going to do with Madman, The Prowler, and Hell Night, which are the ones I watch all the time, right? And he's like, well, I'll just get rid of those.
No, you will not.
I'm like, what? But see, then that's the thing.
You're
like then I start to worry. I'm like, well, who are you going to sell them to? And this is like, I'll be dead, so really I won't care about any of that. But it's the same with Leslie. Like Leslie, she would rather read a book than watch something. Right. Now she watches stuff, but let's be honest, if she had the chance to watch the Friday the 13th movies or rewatch Virgin River, she's probably going to watch Virgin River. Yeah. And so then I'm like, well, what are you going to do with the Friday the 13th box set? She's like, I don't know. I'll probably sell it to Mega Replay or whatever. And I'm like, no, you got to find someone who is passionate about it, who cares about it.
Someone who will cherish it.
Right. She just walked in the room.
Do you have a
I'm talking about you.
Do you have a holy grail?
I am, yeah.
I have to grab this one. The earthquake's swallowing the house. I'm running in and grabbing this.
Oh man.
I know it's tough because you're like me. You got 1,000+ babies. It's hard.
I would just grab a shelf and run. And if I could come back in and grab another shelf and just keep grabbing shelves until I'm unable. Now, okay. So I will say this, and I don't have a manual inventory, but I take pictures of what I have.
Okay.
Because back in 2018, we had a break-in our house. Yep.
Oh no.
And whoever the police are pretty sure it's just some random crackhead who came in the house. But when they came in, they went into my movie closet and they went through all my movies and everything that I had autographed. So I had like Friday the 13th DVD box set that Kane Hodder had autographed. I had some stuff Tony Todd autographed that got stolen.
Damn, dude.
But the other thing though was everything's personalized. So it's like you can't resell personalized shit.
Right.
No, but it means something to you.
Right. Then the other thing they did is they went through all my Scream Factory releases and they stole the slip covers, but they left the movies and the cases. Which
Crackheads, for sure.
It makes sense though, because like a lot of those Blu-ray cover or the slip covers are hard to find because especially a lot of their like when they're out of print stock comes back in to print. They don't have any because when it's originally released, they'll have the slipcover. But now when they put it back out, they don't have the slipcovers. So you can't find a lot of the ones with the slipcovers. So I thought that was really bizarre. But what they did do is I had so many movies in my movie room. I didn't have places to put them. So like right when you would walk in, there was a shelf and I just had stacks of them. And they stole an entire stack of drama, just random drama movies. They took all of those, but they pretty much left a majority of my movies. But then they stole random movies in the living room. They stole all my Marvel movies. They stole like all my Star Wars movies, my Harry Potter box set. So it's like they took a lot of the box sets. Do what?
They just took shit that they could sell easily.
Right. But so thankfully, insurance came through and I was able to retrieve a lot of that, but there's still some movies that that are out of print and you can't get them. So it's like, I have to wait until they come back in, or like Cannibal the Musical finally came out on Blu-ray. So I was able to get it. So now I've got it again. So yeah, there's, but I don't remember what. So the reason I take pictures though is not necessarily just to inventory what I have, but just so in the event that something happens, like a house fire or another break-in or whatever, for insurance purposes, I can say, look, I had X, Y, and Z, and then when insurance money comes through, then I can. Well, then it's like that's the other thing. Like, there's too many to remember. I've actually rebought the same movie I already own. More than once.
How many times has that happened? The library that big, it has to just.
It's happened probably a handful of. I will say it happened. It didn't start happening until I had to box everything up, and then most everything was in storage for a period of time. That's when I started rebuying stuff, because there's this place here called Mega Replay. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. But it's like people, they're real picky. So if you bring your stuff in, if there's scratches and all that, like they won't take it. So their stuff is pristine. And sometimes they get brand new movies in and they have like 4K releases and all kinds of stuff. And, but I found some amazing finds in there. Like a few weeks back, somebody brought in their 3-disc Grindhouse edition of Pieces.
Oh.
And like when it first came out, it was like $50 and they had it for like 14. So, and it's in perfect condition.
Probably where your movie collection went when your house got broke into. Probably just gonna went back there.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Occasionally I'll see movies like, well, especially after the break-in, because we have a second in Charles here also. Like I would go in there and see a movie that I had but was suddenly there, and I'd be like, I wonder if this was mine. I wonder if this was my fucking movie those crackheads took.
Yeah.
And
hey,
but I'll never know.
And when.
I want some names.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I got a question for you real quick, because one of the things that since me and my girlfriend have been together, she showed me a lot of the A24 movies. Do you have any particular thoughts on A24 as a studio? Do you think their movies are good? Do you think they're putting out a little too many? Because I feel like I see a lot of online stuff that's like, yeah, their movies are good, but they're just, pumping stuff out or whatever. I personally have enjoyed pretty much every one that I've seen. Like, one of the first ones she showed me was Midsummer. Love that fucking movie. So fucking good.
Ari Aster, though, phenomenal. He is one of the greatest fucking new directors, if you ask me. I think he's separate though in a way.
Yeah.
I really like him.
Well, here's where you start to hate me. No, so
I want to know your take on modern horror.
I have, yeah. If it when it starts to get too artsy fartsy, some filmmakers start to lose me. So like Hereditary, I loved Hereditary until like the last 5 minutes.
Thank you.
And then the shot at the very end when he's floating up into the I'm like,
Why?
I just it just because to me there's certain elements where I think this is what it feels like to me. I hate when you watch a movie and you know the filmmaker's like, well, the ending is meant to be ambiguous so the audience can make a determination for themselves.
I fucking hate ambiguous endings.
And I'm like, well, you sat here, for the most part, you sat here and you were pretty obvious on what you were doing the whole movie, and then the last 10 minutes is when you decide to be ambiguous. Like that's when it really. That's when you start. I start to say, I'm like, is it that you wanted to be ambiguous, or is it that you had a great idea but you just didn't really know how to finish it off?
And that's some closure, fine, man. I need some closure.
I'm okay with ambiguity to an extent. I don't need a definitive answer. You know, I like a good cliffhanger where something ends and it's like, oh shit, so what happens next? And then like I love being left wanting more. To me, that's a successful film. And I mean, even if it ends and you know what happens, but I'm satisfied with everything I saw once again. But like with Hereditary, like all the performances, the writing, the cinematography, the special effects, everything about it was amazing. But then that last 5 minutes where for the most part things were fairly grounded, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, by the way, everything's supernatural and ambiguous. You know, it's like that's when you start to lose me. I don't know if you guys have seen The Night House. It's a David Bruckner movie. And I've liked some of what David Bruckner's done, but so The Night House, I watched the trailer for it. You know, sometimes you'll watch a trailer and you're like, I cannot wait to see that movie. It's going to be amazing. And so from the trailer, it's like you're not sure. Is it a serial killer movie? Is it a haunted house movie? Like you don't know exactly what it's about. And since you guys haven't seen it, I won't spoil anything for it. But it's another one of those movies where the execution and the performances and the setup and everything is incredible because there's so much mystery that's built into the story that it's like you really don't know what's happening, but you're fully invested and you're intrigued and you're like, man, I don't know where this is going, but I am here for the ride.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in the last 10 minutes, it felt like the filmmakers went, oh shit, let's just throw everything at the wall and then see what sticks. But we won't exactly say what it is. We'll kind of let the audience make a decision for themselves on how they interpret the movie. Because I went and saw it with Eric, who I produce horror. Like we co-own Blood Moon Pictures together.
That's my name.
Hey,
that's my real name.
Different Eric, but are you with a CK, CH, C, just a K, C? Okay, he's Eric with a C, just a C. Maybe it is you.
The right way.
He's on vacation. He's on vacation this week, so.
Dr. Jekyll,
but
Eric.
So when the movie ended, it's one of those cuts to black movies. As soon as the movie ended, Eric and I simultaneously went like that. Then we proceeded to go out into do what?
It said Bruckner, the guy that made it. That's I'm trying to place where I know that name from. Is that the VHS guy?
He was one. Yes, he was one of the main directors on the first VHS.
Okay.
Right.
That's where.
And he, like I said, he's done other stuff that I really enjoy. But like, then after The Night House, Eric and I went out in the hallway, and this other random guy that was there came out there, and I looked at him and I said, "What did you think that movie was about?" The three of us sat there for 30 minutes and we each had a different idea of what we thought what the movie was about, but we were all, which I'm sure if you like to hear that, it sounds like, oh, well, that actually must be a cool movie because all of you got something different out of the film.
Right.
But regardless of the different things we took away from it, we were all equally annoyed by the fact that it was so outlandish in the end and so ambiguous that you could have 500 different interpretations of what the movie could possibly be.
Now I must watch.
And we didn't like that. So, but anyway, you asked about A24, and I started going on this other.
I was just wondering what you thought of their movie. I feel like they've put out a lot of good stuff. I know one that we're really excited that's coming out is Together, I believe, is an A24, or is that Neon?
I think it's A24.
I don't know.
I think it is A24. Those are kind of hard. Like sometimes they kind of feel like the same kinds of movies. But I will say, I feel like while they're close, A24 feels more refined in a way.
Yeah.
Now I did like Long Legs.
I love Long Legs. Did you see Heretic?
Heretic was absolutely fucking fantastic.
That's the Hugh Grant movie, right?
Yes.
Oh, he was so fucking good in that.
Yes, he was.
So that's probably
my
issue.
One of his best roles.
Yeah, I loved it. That was one of my 95% of the movie. I am so fucking invested. I loved it. And then the end was just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I hated she's gone. And that, I don't know. I loved everything about it. His presentation as a bad guy, Hugh Grant as a villain. Give me more of that. That was amazing. But
he needs to do more horror.
I was just like, well, that sucked. Like, not the whole movie, just the ending was just like, what the fuck?
Again, right. I feel it's like, it's when a movie's so good, it's like if you don't find the right perfect ending for it, like it's gonna feel you're gonna feel let down. It's like Sopranos is like the show was so damn good that like I don't know there was a good way to end it, and people always have mixed reactions to things, and it's it's got to be a lot of pressure. I mean, it's to put the bow on it.
It's difficult enough finding a balance when making a film anyway. But yeah, that's the thing. Like if you don't have a film that builds, and you don't have a film that has an ending that the audience feels was worth their time, it'll ruin or can ruin the whole experience for whoever's watching it. Now I didn't feel that way about Heretic. I loved the movie. It's Did you guys see The Substance?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I fucking
yeah. That was what's her face?
I was invested for most of it. Thank you. But man, the end was just so fucking outlandish that I was just like, this is insane.
So let's real quick, because we talked about it at the start.
Yeah.
And not to spoil too much on Mike, but you guys both loved Barbarian. What about the fucking moment with the bottle for the first time? Weren't you like, what
Don't worry.
the fuck?
Even if you tell me the ending, likely I'll forget.
I call Barbarian the tale of two movies because it is first whole fucking movie, and then it's a whole nother fucking movie, and they somehow smooshed them together using a fucking bottle of milk. A girl.
Well, the bottle of milk was so like
what the
cartoonish
fuck?
too.
Yes.
Like it was cartoonishly big. It was like, where did she get it?
Toonville.
What fucking freak place did you buy this bottle? Who gave that to you, you fucking book creature? What the fuck?
All right, y'all.
Well, that and I definitely know what you're talking about, dude. But I got to say this too, because our boy Brian pointed this out. Jordan Peele has come out with some fucking fantastic horror movies.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I love his
I've
stuff.
loved every single one of the movies that he did.
Yeah.
I think Us is great.
Even as
but I
crazy,
enjoyed
even
Nope.
as crazy and bizarre as Nope got at the very end, I loved the direction he took it in.
Yep.
Nope was outrageous, man. The way it starts with the opening scene with the fucking the sitcom, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's so fucking, I don't know, just really well done.
It's just so crazy that somebody that like he's his comedic timing is unmatched. I mean, he's hilarious. He does great impressions, and then this other side of him where he's just, the Twilight Zone stuff he did was great. You know, everything he's
I haven't
done.
seen his Twilight Zone stuff, but
that's cool.
I figure
Another good one
it's
is
probably
like
fantastic.
you guys seen it, but Black Mirror, that's kind of in that realm of Twilight Zone, kind of like, I don't know if you consider that horror, but it just kind of like out there thinking, and some shit is a little more horror-ish. But
I think horror somehow encapsulates psychological thrillers and terror movies all in the same thing. I feel like those are their own genre, but because horror is such an all branding term, they all get lumped in the same. Because for me, Last House on the Left is nothing like Chucky, but you can find them in the same fucking section online. You know what I mean? They're both in horror.
Well, it's all subgenre, you know.
Yeah. For
like
me,
horror as a whole.
And see, that to me, that's right. It's an umbrella, and then there's so many things that you can, and that's to me, that's why I like making horror films, because I get that question all the time. They're like, why do you only make horror films? Because a lot all the films all but a couple of the films that I've done have been horror, and then a majority of the films that I produce that aren't mine, that I help other filmmakers make, are all horror. And I get asked that question all the time. It's like, why do you fixate so much on horror? And it's not just a personal taste. I mean, for me, it is a nostalgia thing. I grew up on it. My grandmother got me into it like when I was 5 years old. So like I was her scary movie buddy. So I grew up on steady diets of, Carpenter and Craven and Tobe Hooper and all these, and then even the more obscure stuff. But when I got older and I said, hey, I want to be a filmmaker. I mean, by then my love for horror was very palpable. But the one thing that I've learned about this genre versus every other genre, because I've done dramas, I've done comedies, is that you can only do so much with a single hub genre. Because like horror is a hub genre. But the one thing that, can you make a comedy in the Old West? Sure. But the one thing that you can't do with comedy is that you can't make a comedy, drama, Western, sci-fi, because then at that point, it becomes a whole other genre, right? Because then it's a sci-fi movie that's got some, but like with horror, or the genres don't work together half the time. But like with horror, you can make a horror Western with comedy that has a romantic subplot and like thrills. And I mean, it's very malleable. So it's like you can put everything into a single film.
Yep.
And it can feel like a whole experience.
It's a part of that.
And you can't really do that with other genres.
It's the universal language. There are certain things that you could be next to somebody who speaks, I don't know if you speak Portuguese or not. Well, let's just assume you don't. You can be right next to someone that speaks Portuguese, but the right fucking movie doesn't need to have English or Portuguese in it. It'll still get you both. Like the movie High Tension, for example. I don't know if you remember that one, but that's a French movie. And I remember that was the first time ever that I watched a movie in French and didn't like. I read this I did the dub, I guess the sub. I did the sub instead of the dub, and I remember just thinking, man, I'm scared regardless of knowing what the fuck they're saying. Like,
right?
What was the movie where the girls climbed the cell phone tower? Like way up in the air.
Fall.
You could have put that on mute, and I would have been sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my hands were sweating like immediately because I'll go up into heights.
Watch my hands sweat.
Well, it's funny. We Leslie and I went and saw the new Final Destination, and I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but in the beginning of the movie, they go up into that tower, and there's those shots from behind them where it's looking out as they're going up. And I'm sitting there, and I looked at Leslie, and I went, "Feel my palm," and she reached over, and she was like, "Ugh," because my palms were like super sweaty. She's like, "Why are your palms sweating?" And I'm like, "It's really high."
Yes.
She's like, "You're sitting down."
Best part of that movie though was Tony Todd's little monologue there. His almost like his
Yeah. I
reminded
cried
me of
so hard during that
I got
part.
chills so much just because knowing what happened after the fact. It reminded me of, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan or not, but when right before Ultimate Warrior died, he came back, made his peace with Vince McMahon, showed up on Monday Night Raw, gave this great speech, and then like died like shortly after, like a day or two after.
Yeah.
And it was just like almost like, we talked about the perfect ending, and it feels like that was the best way to put a bow on a beautiful career.
And I'm sure at this point, because it's been out in the news, but like you may have heard where the filmmakers who did that movie at the very end, even though Tony Todd had scripted lines, they said, "Hey, before you walk out of the room, throw the script away and say what you would say to the fans, but you're talking to the characters, but how would you," because they knew he was dying at that point. So It was like, give yourself a farewell to the fans, say something to the fans. So like everything he said there at the very last part, it was all unscripted, coming like from him. And what's crazy about that is, before I saw anything about that out there in the news about that portion of the movie, so Jeffrey Reddick, who created the whole Final Destination franchise, and this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, okay, but like I'm actually friends with him. So
tell him thanks for, I can never drive behind a goddamn tractor trailer hauling anything now because I'm scared of goddamn death. I'm gonna die. Thank you.
I'll tell him. He and I have talked about that a couple of times, because like
traumatize people worldwide.
Well, I told him, I was like, when you die, like there's going to be a log truck on your tombstone. And he's like, "Oh, I know." Because it's funny, because we'll have conversations, and I'll ask him, like one time I said, "Do you ever just sit back and think how awesome it is that you have literally done something that a majority of people in their lifetime will never get the opportunity to do, and that's you've created something that that has transcended pop culture." Because here we are, 25 years later, they're still making movies based off his idea. Everybody knows about the log truck. Like, even if people don't know, like Jeffrey Reddick came up with the idea of the log truck causing the pileup in the second movie. When someone thinks of a log truck, they think of Final Destination. And by proxy, they're thinking of his baby. And I'm like, do you ever just sit back and think how awesome it is that you've created something that will be remembered even long after you're gone? People will really remember what your contributions have been to cinema.
Insane.
And he's like, he's like, I don't really think about it all the time. he's like, I'm just trying to make my next movie that everybody remembers. But he said, he's like, I know regardless of whatever I make. It's like Jamie Lee Curtis. She's done so many other great things. True Lies. I mean, I love her in The Fog and all these, A Fish
True
Called
Lies,
Wanda.
dude.
And there's so many movies that she's done that are great. But when she dies, it's going to say Halloween actress Jamie Lee Curtis has passed away.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't matter what. And she's done every other genre out there, Trading Places. I mean, like, she's been in so many great films that people know. But it doesn't matter, because Halloween is what she's going to be remembered for, regardless of her contributions. And that's kind of the same thing.
Freaky Friday.
So,
right.
Jamie Lee Curtis, I'll tell you this. I'm so excited they're coming out with a second one. Jamie Lee Curtis in Freaky Friday, when she did the like little pixie cut and everything, that did something to me as a teenager. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, he said Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I will put this out there, but that scene from True Lies got me through a few lonely nights back in the
Yeah.
day.
Earmuffs, Leslie. Earmuffs.
Yeah, she's looking at me like this.
I gotta ask, as we're hitting our 1 hour, we have a couple questions that we always ask, but before we get to those, I want to ask a personal question myself. My 11-year-old daughter
Okay.
has expressed a major desire in making her own movie. She wants to make something. We've got ideas that we're bouncing around and we're storyboarding everything, and we're trying to get together what we think are all the scenes before we even start creating anything. What base advice would you give me as a dad and her as a kid for us taking on this adventure of creating our own movie?
I mean, first of all, I would say that I'm trying to be famous. I love you. I mean, here's the thing. The one thing you don't want to do, especially in the beginning, is you don't want to overthink it. So you're always gonna look at stuff other people do, and you're gonna think, God, why does my stuff not look as good as this, or sound as good as this, or whatever? The great thing is, you got to start somewhere. Planning is very important. Networking is very important. Don't be super rigid with your own ideas. I mean, the one thing, the best way I've found our projects for being successful is by listening to everybody else too that you work with. So kind of like what you're doing right now, like what advice do you have? It's kind of the same thing on set, because like when we're filming a movie, I'm not the only creative entity there. And
Right.
everybody all the way down to a production assistant, it has creative needs or talent in their bones, and it's like they want to have their ideas. They all want to feel like they're a part of the film. So I'll take ideas. So if somebody throws an idea at you and it's a good idea, take it and use it. And but don't overthink it from a technology standpoint. Now the great thing about now is, like, when I started, I was using a RCA camcorder. I mean, shit that you film on an iPhone. I mean, the new 28 years later, they filmed most of it on an iPhone.
Right.
It's amazing what you can do with the technology. I mean, everything is so accessible. But definitely, like what you were just saying, you're already off to a good start. The planning is super important, because like when you go into it, you want to have a clear-cut vision for what you want to do, because I mean, everybody's time is valuable, and you want to make sure that, moving ahead, that you have a plan and you know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. The other thing too is, to some degree, overshoot the amount of time that you're going to utilize. Because like if and like, so like when we're scheduling for something, we'll look at the scenes and we'll go, realistically, it'll probably take us 6 hours to film this or film these scenes. But something could go wrong. So let's add 2 more hours to it. And then just for shits and giggles, we might throw an extra hour on there. And then if it only takes you 5 hours because things are ahead of schedule or whatever, then you get done in 5, but you were allotted for, 8 or 9 hours. And honestly, that makes you look good. So, and it makes you feel good. Nothing is worse than going, oh, I can do this in about 3.5, maybe 4 hours. And then 6 hours later, you're going, oh, fuck.
Yep.
That's the worst. That happened to me on the first.
You stop creatively thinking, and then you're thinking to get it done instead of thinking to what's best.
Right.
Don't be surprised, man, when your inbox drops with some clips from me and my kid, and try to get some pointers from you, man. Because, like I said, I can't believe I'm saying this on a fucking public forum, but we've let her watch the Terrifier movies because she begged us. Like, Maya, those are gore. That's not horror. She's like, I still want to watch them. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And
well, it's funny. Look, there's a stigma with horror, and I get it. I mean,
It depends on
people
the
don't
kid.
make horror movies because, like, I don't make the movies I make because I love seeing people suffer. The reality is suffering is going to happen whether horror movies exist or not, because I hate to break it to a lot of people, but rape and incest and murder and
All that.
infanticide and all of that predates media, period. All of that was happening. People were murdering each other in droves long before the entertainment industry was around. And guess what? When the entertainment industry wasn't around, there were books. And I don't think I've ever remember hearing someone go, "Man, I watched or I read Romeo." I almost said Tromeo and Juliet. So there's some trauma right there for you. But it's like, no,
there's a
I've never
movie
heard
idea,
someone say,
brother.
"Oh, I read." Yeah. Romeo and Juliet, and they're like, now I'm going to commit suicide because of it. And now I'm not saying that that's never happened, but it doesn't happen often enough to where it's like movies do truly affect the masses on a large scale to where it's like we need to be really concerned about the content that is within books or music or video games and all that. Like,
I think that
it's
a lot.
really what you're. It's an outlet. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good, brother. I just think that has a lot to do with what's at home too, because when I was young, I saw natural born killers, and I never went out and killed somebody with all my girlfriend. You know what I mean? I really fucking love born killers, but I wasn't like, I can't remember his name, but there's that famous case of that guy and that girl going out and recreating natural born killers. That's going to happen anywhere, man. I mean, the thing happens with people imitating pro wrestling in their backyard as well. You know what I mean? I think it's up to the parents.
Right.
It's like with when my kids were younger, I would watch like Rick and Morty or something, and people would be like, "Aren't you going to turn that off? Your kids are in the room." I'm like, no. If they want to hear fucking shit, whatever, I'm going to explain to them what fucking shit is. You know what I mean? And my kids are so much more well behaved, I feel like, than some of my friends who were like, "You can't say the F word," and his kids are running around flipping people off.
Well, yeah, when they had their back turned, it's the more you the more you keep it from them, the more they're gonna want to do it. And they're gonna do it behind your back, and they're gonna do it inappropriately. You teach them there's a time and a place, and how to be respectful, or
right. And I will say this to what as an extension of what you're saying. I mean, yes, if you're going to let your 5-year-old watch the Saw films, I mean, obviously at that age they can be more impressionable. But however, if you're there going, look, none of this is real. It's all make believe. It's like when you play, like when you pretend like you're a doctor, and. I don't know. Like I used to, I mean, I'm sure you guys did the same thing. Like you used to run around and pretend you were a secret agent or a cop and you're shooting bad guys and stuff like that. You didn't grow up to go, oh, now I'm going to get a gun and go around and try to shoot people for real. Most people, I feel,
try to kill a Native American.
Right. It's like most people are fairly well adjusted and they know the difference between right and wrong. And I would say a majority of the people that I'm friends with or I've met or I know who are fans of violent video games and vulgar music and horror are some of the most well-adjusted people that I've ever met. And they think things through and they have more stable lives at home. Because let me tell you this, and this is something that I'll be honest, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on a podcast, but I'll throw this out there because I know somebody's going to watch this and go, well, they're going to disagree with me because they're like, oh, he's just into horror. So of course he's going to say these things. Here's what it really comes down to. Yes, it comes down to parenting, but as you get to a certain age, it also comes down to the choices you make and how responsible you are as a human being. Because when I was young, my dad, I come from a long line of alcoholics. And my biological dad, he's dead now, but when I was younger, he would get drunk and beat my mom. And I saw it. Like one time I sat there and watched him hit her in the face with a glass ketchup bottle.
Damn.
Now at some point after seeing all this abuse, and like he would have all of his friends come over to the house and they would have like porno parties where they would all get drunk and like watch porno in the living room, and I wasn't allowed to come out. Okay, now here's the thing. My dad was not a horror fan. To my knowledge, the music he listened to was like, well, he probably listened to like Led Zeppelin or something, but not anything like, it wasn't like the music he listened to, they weren't in Congress trying to defend what they were singing about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so at some point as I grew up, as I matured and realized like the things that he would do, I had a choice to make. It's like I could drink and take the chance of being like him. And I'm not saying that everybody who drinks is an abuser, but he was. And I didn't know if that was going to make me like, I could be, honestly, I feel like if I were to get drunk, I'm the annoying guy that's like in the corner of the room going, do you still like me? Like I'm probably that guy, but like, but I never wanted to test fate.
Guy, so like in my 30s, I decided like, you know, I need to like whiskey because I'm from Kentucky and it's part of my like heritage.
Right.
So.
And here's the thing. I'm not opposed. And sorry, I wasn't trying to step over you, but I'm not opposed to alcohol. I don't have a problem with drinking. I don't care if people drink. It doesn't bother me. My wife drinks. So it's like, I mean, not a lot. I mean, it sound like she's an alcoholic, but anyway, but like, you know, you still have to be responsible. Probably, but like in anything you do, you still have, there's consequences to your actions. You still have to be responsible. So it was like, I could sit here and make bad choices and then blame it on something else instead of just me making these, you know, or I could say, oh, it was horror films that made me be an abusive alcoholic, or it was just the alcohol. But at the end of the day, it's me. I'm choosing to pick it up. I'm choosing to consume it. I'm choosing to hit my wife in the face with a ketchup bottle. He didn't have to do any of those things, but he did. At the end of the day, it was him. And so I don't drink because I don't want to take the chance on seeing if, you know, I'm that guy, because like I said, I come from a long line of, and I don't know how abusive some of the other, how abusive some of my other lineage was, but I know that there, you know, there was like verbal and stuff. So,
break the cycle,
I feel like
man.
I'm preaching at this point.
Hey,
yeah, but that's the thing. So it's like,
you take.
What's that?
Well, say that again. You cut it, or you were like at the feed kind of was like,
life is a highway. It's all about what exits you take, man. That's all it is.
Right. I thought you were going to start singing Rascal Flatts.
I mean, you do bear a resemblance to their lead singer a bit. You know what I mean? You can sing
That's true.
Oh shit. Hey, on that note,
but anyway, so I say all that to say this: I've never killed anybody.
Hey, me either that I know of.
Right.
Yeah,
I have a very large.
We are over our 1 hour.
I have a large body count, but it's all on screen.
I know lots of large rural areas.
Before we wrap this up, we have two questions that we always like to get before we leave a guest. We want to hit both of them. Mike will ask the first one, and then Eric will follow up with the second one. Mike, go ahead.
Absolutely. You know, us dads as budget-minded individuals, you know, we have certain criteria. We don't want to say judge our guest on, but you know, get a feel for people, you know. And so we like to ask people, what do you keep your thermostat sets to?
Ooh, it used to be 72, but now that I married up, I can afford 68.
Hey,
all right.
Yeah.
Love that.
There are 4 acceptable answers to that question: 68, 69, 70, and whatever she says. So, you know.
So I'm right there then. Perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Wonderful. And then the other one, more of a wholesome question, not so much a comedy question. What is something that you're thankful for today?
See, it's that's to me that's like the what's your favorite horror movie question.
And it
There's
doesn't have to be anything all encompassing. Just something maybe that happened today or this week that you're just like, man, that's awesome.
I would say, I mean, most immediately, and this is going to sound really cliche, and I've already talked about her a whole bunch, but like, and I made the joke about marrying up a second ago, but I mean, I am extremely grateful and blessed to be with Leslie. I mean, our story was like a 20-year, basically, like if I were to tell you the whole story, it sounds like a Disney romantic comedy or
like
something.
You need to make a movie about it, dude, and it's gonna be your first outside.
You're not the first person. Yeah. So, but I'm really thankful. But I'm really, well, ironically, New Fear's Eve, I do actually touch on some of that. Like even what the lead female character is named Leslie. So, but I would say I'm definitely thankful for her because a lot of good and positive things and amazing things came into my life. Opportunities opened up that I never would have been able to have in my previous relationship. Because just this past, just from how we made New Fear's Eve, which is our most recent movie, to like when we did its festival tour, I was able to go to New York City for a screening, Chicago, Indianapolis. I mean, we went, it screened all over the place. It went over to UK. I didn't get to go to that one, but ultimately it was like, I got to travel all over the place. And that's because of her. She's so incredibly supportive. I would come home and say, the film just got, I mean, with the movie playing in Manhattan, I come home and I said, the movie got accepted and it's going to screen in Lower Manhattan. And she's like, well, you've never been there, right? And I said, yeah. And she's like, are you going? I would say, can't just go to New York. And she's like, no, your movie's in New York. You're going to New York.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of support that I never would have had before where I'm at now. So just being with her has opened up a million opportunities just because of how incredibly generous that she is. And she's amazing with my two sons. And she is a great mom. And of course, I'm thankful for my kids. They're both healthy and they're both doing really well. My oldest has a bunch of mental health issues. And if you'd asked me 2 years ago that, if he'd be living on his own and being able to hold a job, I'd have told you were crazy. But he got things together and, through the help of me and his mom. And that is the one thing, like me and his mom do co-parent very well. We work together very well. And, she is supportive of him and helps him a lot. So I can't say that. And so he's doing really great. And then my oldest, who's going through this I don't really give a shit phase, is still funny and amazing and has my sense of humor, which is very unfortunate for him because he says that inappropriate things all the time. Sometimes that get him in trouble. And Leslie's like, he can't say that to his stepmom. And I'm like, it's funny though, which is probably bad parenting, but
I mean, they're old enough.
I don't know. And then I guess, and then ultimately the other thing I'm most thankful for is I'm thankful for, I went from an aspiring filmmaker to now a filmmaker. It's not the journey that I saw, but it's been an incredible one. And I've had the opportunity and been very fortunate to work with and meet a lot of really incredible people. And because of that, I've had the chance to work with, Hollywood talent. And now I'm doing a whole lot of producing and working on projects all over the country, which is another thing that's kind of popped up within the last couple of years. And I just, I'm not, it's funny, if you were to Google my name and my net worth, it actually pops up, which I don't know why, but it'll pop up and it says like I'm worth like $9 million. It's not true. Not even close. But I can say that it's not even. I'm still paycheck to paycheck guy.
You're sponsoring,
but right, yeah.
We need the sponsorship.
And I wish that was true. It's funny because I've actually had people like message me about it and be like, "What is this?" And I go, "No, that's not true." but I can say I feel like I'm worth $9 million because of the people and the connections I've made and the people I'm, you know, who I'm married to and all. So it's just, I don't know. It's, you know, and I'm thankful to you guys, you know, you reached out out of the blue and were like, hey, you know, do you want to,
The
do you want to
world
do this? You
works
want to talk
in
about the stuff you're a part
happenstance.
of? So, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, the world works in happenstance, man. We have all found each other, like, you know, us three that have been doing this for years found each other on happenstance. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
so I never miss an opportunity to, like, if somebody looks interesting, just to reach out, because that's what this show has become. It's become conversations with interesting people, man. And you certainly fit that bill. So
oh,
you know, we
thank you.
it was
I
something
appreciate
like,
that.
you know, it might seem random, but you know, we've had a great conversation, and it's, you know, we really appreciate, you know, your time and you know, taking a random message.
With that being said, man,
Absolutely.
tell people where to follow you out on the internet, and then wrap this here thingy up. We went 20 minutes over today.
Yeah.
Told
Sorry
you,
about
man.
that.
We get to talking. That's how it goes.
Yeah. I'm a rambler. I'm like Kevin Smith. I'll just go and go and go. Um, I'm old school, so Facebook is like the easiest way to get in touch with me as far as like messaging and whatnot. I mean, I have an email. It's pstarks@gmail.com. You can reach me there. You can also go to bloodmoonpictures.com. That's mine and Eric's company. And most all the stuff that we've got on there, like all the stuff that we've done is on there. But like there's a few things he and I are producing, the Barn Part 3 right now. And then there's another one I'm producing out of Louisville called The Last Sleepover, which is a slasher film. And so really it's if you're interested in the stuff that I've done or am working on now, I hate saying it like this, but honestly, it's the easiest way is if you just Google my name. So just Google PJ Starks. You'll find out way more than you ever wanted to about me. And and if you go to like the news section, a lot of the more current recent stuff will pop up to kind of give you an idea. And then there's ways of like how you can see the trailers and possibly get involved with some of the projects and all that. So that's really the best way
I
of
was gonna say,
going
man,
about it. Yeah.
I'm 90 minutes. I'm 90 minutes out of Louisville. So if you ever need an extra or, you know, a really handsome
Okay.
face, you know what I mean?
You need three handsome dads.
Absolutely.
To get
My
murdered.
only requirement is that you kill me in said movie. I want to die.
I want to die. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta die.
Everybody wants that's a bucket list thing for most people. It's so funny. That's why it's like I'll tell you this, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, I want you to kill me in a movie, I wouldn't have $9 million, but I definitely have probably like 500 at least.
I'm in a movie where I'm already dead. I'm in a movie called Zombie Strike Force, but that's
okay.
That's a deep dive.
Yeah, that's a deep dive. But yeah, I had a pencil stuck out of my head.
Now who's the
I'm not 100%.
Who's the filmmaker behind that?
I'm not 100% sure. I just signed up because it was at a comic book shop that I went to. And they were like, we're shooting this scene at this comic book store. We need people to play zombies. And I worked at this tattoo shop with this group of people at the time, and we all got signed up for it essentially. So we all got turned into zombies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
I read for a movie once in my life, man. Once in my life. And I said I look too old for the part.
I did one with Mickey Rourke. Me and my wife did a movie with Mickey Rourke, and it's funny too because it was a Bollywood movie, and but it's fully in English, but it's a Bollywood movie, and we finally got to where we could see it, and it was on Netflix, but you had to watch it through a fucking VPN, and we finally watch it, and I finally fucking spot me and my wife, and it's like the only scene that they use that we're in is like just that you can see us in the background. It's like maybe this much of the fucking screen, and I fucking screenshotted that shit, and I was like, "Look, we're in a movie with Mickey Rourke."
That's pretty awesome. Bollywood, they make some good movies. There's some good Bollywood movies out there.
It was called Tiger. If you want to watch it, it's a movie about boxing.
Okay. Oh, but real quick before we go, I do want to say about you and your daughter making a movie. Seriously, like, best of luck to you guys. It's going to get hard. You've never made a movie before, right?
No, man, I'm just I'm a creator. I love to write scripts. I love to write like different stuff for, I write songs all the time. I like to write scripts for us. Like we'll have half-ass script layouts for some of these episodes. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and my daughter's creative. I'm creative. It's not that I may have never done it, but I know that I can, if that makes sense.
Right.
I'm a very deterministic, create what I think person. So we're at least, by God, by the time she's 12 or 13, she will have made a movie with her father. It's got to happen. So.
Well, that alone makes you an awesome dad, because I'm assuming it's kind of her dream that she really wants to. Like, I'm not saying you're not interested or it's not part of your dream, but I'm assuming she's kind of the driving force.
Even if it's the shittiest movie ever, dude, if you make a movie together, it will be everything.
It's her dream, but it's also my dream in a way, because I just want to make my kids happy.
Same. So, I'm working on making a rap song with my son right now for that exact reason.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Is to just create with my kids. If my son decides tomorrow he wants to become a paintball artist, guess who's going to the fucking paintball store buying a shitload of paintballs and different guns for him to shoot canvas? You know what I mean? Whatever it is, I'll support.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, seriously, if you have any questions or anything, hit me up. I'll do my best to answer them.
Cool.
And just perseverance is key. It's going to get hard. It's going to be hard. And it's funny what you just said a second ago about, the shittiest movie or what.
Well, your cat just changed a whole other cat.
That one's scary looking. That one looking is from Pet Sematary. There was a comment earlier about Pet Sematary, but
oh yeah, that's Oliver, and that's Linus. Oliver's my cat. I had one cat. Leslie, to me, enough.
He said PJ's such a horror movie fan that he got his cat from Pet Sematary.
Yeah, and there's in total there's 4 cats and 2 dogs in the house.
Man,
nice. Too many animals. But I had a point that I was going to make before I thought they were going to start fighting, but I don't remember what it was. It's my ADHD.
Well, anyways, boys, you got anything else?
But I'm sure it was going to be inspirational no matter what, regardless of what it was.
Wrap this shit up before we hit 2 hours.
Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been an absolute blast.
Absolutely, thank you.
Whenever we go over on a guest, it always means that we just had an awesome conversation. So, as always,
cool. I appreciate
it. DWO podcast. I am Big Rig Eric Maffey. He is Mr. Magnificent Mike Martin. He is the wrestling t-shirt guy, Bo Cephas, and he is the one, the only PJ Starks. As always, you can check us out on all the socials at DWO_podcast, Facebook at the DWO podcast, TikTok at DWO_pod. Get that dad merch at Pro Wrestling Tees, TeePublic, or message us directly. And be kind, wash your behind, all that good stuff. Like subscribe, listen, follow. And until next time, top dads.